Okay, I know this was hardly requested compared to some of the other ideas I put out there, but considering Moshi Monsters just announced their return, I knew it was the right time. So this is 100 facts about Moshi Monsters. I'm gonna assume you at least have a surface level understanding of Moshi Monsters to want to click on this video, but just in case you don't, Moshi Monsters was a British online virtual world released in 2008, where you play as one of 6 Moshi Monster virtual pets, and collect pets, kinda known as moshlings, via growing flowers. Besides that, it had most of the typical virtual world stuff like character customization, minigames, and a home to decorate. Moshlings became a highly popular series of collectible blind bag figures, so Moshi Monsters was just as successful as a toy brand as it was a game. But whether you're here to gain some very niche, useless knowledge, or you just want a nostalgia trip, I hope you enjoy. Also ignore my hair, by the way, it's supposed to be rainbow, but like, I've just got this random big chunk of green and like nothing else. I don't know what happened. Number 1. Moshi Monsters was released on the 16th of April 2008 and shut down in 2019 due to the discontinuation of Flash Player. Moshi Monsters golden tickets were given out with codes for 24 hours of membership. The only place I know for a fact that they were given out was Toys R Us. After Moshi Monsters shut down, it rebranded as a sleep ASMR app known as Moshi Twilight and later just Moshi. The app is still available to this day and is aimed at much younger children. This rebrand was directly influenced by the success of the app Calm, made by the same man who made Moshi Monsters, Michael Acton Smith, not to be confused with Michael Afton. The rarest non-promotional moshling is Fernando, and there were only ever 5,000 made of him. So allow me to flex on you for a second. If you found one of these in blind bags, you got to enter a competition at www.huntforfernando.com, and one person would win their own figure based on them. And this was won by a girl called Emma, and this is what her figure looked like. I'm not jealous. They did like kinda make me into a moshling though, so I guess that's kinda cool. Moshi Monsters came out with a ton of playsets, with the most well known being the Moshling Zoo, where you could display your moshlings and it had a little secret compartment on top. And the Moshi Treehouse with a functional lift. I had this as a kid and my friend destroyed it. Rest in peace, Moshi Treehouse. Notably, there were also the Moshling Mall and the Gumball Machine, but there were tons more playsets released. Moshi Monsters had an insanely successful magazine series. 66 issues were released between 2011 and 2016. These contained things like comic strips, recipes, puzzles, and fan art readers could submit. I submitted my moshling design to the magazine, who was just a prawn with a top hat, and they never featured her. I was very offended. Due to the success of the Moshi magazine, they released a spin-off magazine series focused on the popular playable character Poppet, as well as her newly introduced friends, the Poppeteers, known as Zaffy, Lucky, Serena, and Juno. This was nowhere near as popular and ended after only 10 months. Every now and then, Moshi Monsters would hold designer moshling contests, where fans could submit designs and the winner would get their design turned into an official moshling, with the first winner being Liberty. The Guinness World Record for the biggest Moshi Monsters collection is held by Lucy Neath from Milton Keynes. Between 2012 and 2014, a Moshi Monsters bus toured around the UK. It had a merch shop on the second floor, a slide, and different activities on the first floor depending on the location, like meet and greets with characters and badge making. Personally, I got to meet Buster Bumblechops, that's me. One of my teeth fell out on the Moshi bus. I don't know why I remember that. On the Moshi Monsters loading screen, the moshling Iggy follows your cursor around and tries to eat it. In 2011, Lady Gaga filed a lawsuit against Moshi Monsters over the character Lady Gugu. After this, she was replaced with a moshling known as Baby Rocks, and let me tell you, logging in one morning and seeing this in my house with no warning was an experience. They also moved focus away from the moshling Dustbin Beaver in favour of Zack Bin Spin as a precautionary measure. They were really playing the try not to get sued challenge on hard mode. So many of their characters were parodies, and even the shops were too. In 2020, soon after Moshi Monsters shut down, Moshi Monsters Rewritten was released so fans could play it again. However, currently, the most popular rewritten project is Moshi Online, as it's more polished and still updated to this day. So as I touched on before, on the 16th of June 2025, Moshi Monsters launched a Kickstarter for a brand new post-apocalyptic mobile game in which Monstro City was destroyed by the Flashsteroid, basically representing how the death of Flash Player killed the game, which I think is really funny. I wrote down here that the project was fully funded in 24 hours because technically it was, but I woke up this morning to see that the Kickstarter had actually gone down to £64,000 because so many of them were fraudulent. Someone's trying to like sabotage this project or something. Anyway, the reception to this Kickstarter was kind of mixed, because a lot of people expected them to just relaunch the old game on that day, but like everyone already has an account with progress on Moshi Online. That'd be like throwing money down the drain. I've been saying they're gonna make a brand new game and nobody listened to me. There's also a lot of criticism about the amount of money they're asking for, and a lot of people are saying they don't need it. But Moshi Monsters was running at a loss for so long, and Mind Candy have been narrowly dodging bankruptcy at points. They might honestly need it, I don't know. Also, I took some screenshots of like a TikTok criticizing the Kickstarter just to show some examples of what people were saying. And then I realised it was posted by someone I know, like, in person, and that would have been really awkward. But yeah, let's just say I think I'm more excited than the majority of people. Let's just leave it at that. By 2011, Moshi Monsters reached a player base of 50 million. There was a series of Moshi Monsters books released known as Pick Your Path, where you could choose between different options and go to different pages based on your choices. So you get a new story every time, which I think is a really fun idea. In 2013, a Moshi Monsters movie was released called Moshi Monsters the Movie. Real creative. In the movie, the main 6 monsters and Mr. Snoodle go on an adventure to rescue a golden egg from Dr. Strangeglove, which hatches into Mrs. Snoodle. The general consensus on this movie is that the plot is hot garbage, but the songs are absolutely banger. Speaking of music, Moshi Monsters was well known for its songs. They released 2 albums and a ton of singles, all of which never get skipped in my playlist, may I add, and most of them have animated music videos. In 2014, an exclusive purple glitter Mrs. Snoodle figure was given out at Alton Towers during their collab with Moshi Monsters, making this one of the rarest Moshlings. Moshi Monsters released loads of limited edition Moshling collector's tins, including gold and silver collections, the Rocks collection, a spotty collection for children in need, and a metallic blue collection for the Great Ormond Street Hospital. In the online game, the houses you could choose from for your monster to live in were the default house, a tree house, a skyscraper, a princess castle, a cake, a mountain, and a haunted house, and you could upgrade these to have up to 5 floors. Moshi Monsters had a ton of spin-off apps and games, and I'm gonna count each one as like its own fact because you try and think of 100 facts, okay, it's hard. One of the first spin-offs released was Moshling Zoo for the Nintendo DS in 2011, where the objective is to persuade different Moshlings to join your zoo and collect them all. The game also came with a code to get the Moshling Nipper in the online game. This is kind of the premise for most of the games, to be honest, but like, trying to collect them all does not get old, so it's for a good reason. Moshling's Theme Park was then released in 2012, also for the Nintendo DS, as a sequel to Moshling Zoo, where you can play different minigames and rescue different Moshlings. You have to collect 120 light bulbs to make a sign to catch Buster Bumblechop's attention after getting into a plane crash and losing all of the Moshlings you worked so hard to get in the first game. When I say losing, I mean you have to find them again, not that they're dead. I probably should have worded that better. Katsuma Unleashed was a 3DS platformer game kinda like Mario, where you play as Katsuma and fight robot Moshling enemies. Moshling Rescue was released in 2013. It was a generic match-3 app, and it was actually aimed at parents of kids who played Moshi Monsters. It was first released on Facebook, then for iOS. Moshi Monsters Village was released just a few days later, also in 2013, and it's your typical village building social game you'd get on Facebook in the 2000s, you know the type. Again, you collect Moshlings. Moshi Carts is Subway Surfers from Temu, not much else to say there. Buster's Lost Moshlings was a Where's Wally style search and find app where you search different scenes to find Moshlings and add them to your zoo. There's also a book with the same name, which is a similar concept. Moshi Monsters Food Factory was very similar to the iconic ice cream minigame from the original Moshi Monsters, where you serve food to monsters within a certain time limit before they get pissed off and leave. The game costs real money, and I cannot find a single piece of footage of it, only pictures, so I apologise for that. And there was also an in-game area of the same name in the original Moshi Monsters, but with mini-games of a different concept. And there's like this sentient cheese who grates his own face off. Are you okay, buddy? Talking Poppet is pretty much a rip-off of Talking Tom. They're not really very original with games, I've noticed. The Moshi Monsters music app let you listen to Moshi Monsters music, self-explanatory. The first Moshi mobile app ever released was Moshi Monsters Mouth Off, where you could hold an animation of each of the main 6 monsters' mouths up to yours, so it looked like you were talking as them when you spoke. The second app ever was Moshlings! Which has fact files about Moshlings and let you decorate them with stickers. And finally, Moshi Monsters Egg Hunt is a spin-off game released in 2016, whilst the franchise was kind of dying out. It's still available to this day, but no longer receives updates. There was also a series of figures with the same name, which re-released some previous Moshlings, but tinier. Moshi Fun Park was an area in the online game where you could play a selection of Flash games, both Moshi Monsters branded and third-party games. Skywire and Icebreaker were my favourites. Some of the original Moshi Monsters games include Bobblebot's Bustle, Mosh Fling, Oddie's Donut Dash, Run Shelby Run, and Where's Iggy? And MoshiGames.com was an even bigger collection of minigames on its own website. I never hear people talk about it, but I literally lived on this website. It had iconic games like the Pet Grooming Studio, and it just kind of disappeared one day. Bobblebots, which I just mentioned since they have their own Flash game, were a kind of cursed Moshi Monsters spin-off toy line. They were made by the creators of Hexbugs and functioned in a similar way. They also had some of their own playsets of in-game locations. The Moshlings blind bag figures had 11 main numbered series, alongside many different named spin-off series. Mind Candy's first ever project was an ARG known as Perplex City, in which the person who solved it would win a cash prize of £100,000. It ran for about 2 years, which was much longer than most ARGs, but Perplex City was notoriously hard to solve. Also, the Moshling Professor Perplex is a reference to this project. Mind Candy run a few online stores, including Petlandia, which sells personalisable dog products with really cute illustrations, and Firebox, a gift shop which is a lot less family friendly than Moshi Monsters, let's just leave it at that. In 2012, a Moshi Monsters advent calendar was released containing 17 Moshlings from the Winter Wonderland series and 7 exclusives. The year after, the advent calendar featured micro Moshis. As with probably most franchises, let's be honest, Moshi Monsters featured in McDonald's Happy Meals with a series of 8 plastic keychains. Moshi Monsters had a trading card series known as Mashup, and these went on for 5 series total. Similarly, sticker packs were released alongside a sticker album to put them in. Dr. Strangelove's hatred for Moshlings came about because a White Fang Moshling mistook his fingers for sausages. Dr. Strangelove's original name was Lavender Trogs. Furries are very good at ballet dancing. The monsters, not those kind of furries. Similarly to the plot of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, in the series 4 Moshling blind bags, 5 golden tickets were hidden randomly, and the winners got a tour of the Mind Candy headquarters in London, and one of them received a solid gold Iggy figure. The Moshling Blingo's necklace is sentient and is called Goldie Rocks. I used to watch Blingo's music video on loop because I thought she was hot. In your monster's room, you have what is known as a friend tree, and the more friends you have added, the taller the tree grows. Moshi Monsters accounts that have been deleted will always have their age displayed as 49 on the friend tree. When Series 5 of the Moshling blind bags were released, they featured the character Snozzle Wobbleson, owner of the grocery store, on the front of the packaging. However, he wasn't actually available to get in these blind bags. This caused a lot of controversy because of the misleading packaging, so Moshi Monsters declared 16th of March from 2013 onwards Snozzle Wobbleson Day, when he was added into the Series 5 blind bags a few months after their initial release. Moshi Monsters had a partnership with Sea Life in 2014, where you could meet Poppet and Katsuma and trade your Moshlings with other fans. There was also a Moshling available in-game exclusively to those who visited the event called Lubber. Also, we had to cancel the event at Hunstanton because the Sea Life Centre flooded. Remember Silly Bands? Well, Moshi Monsters released their own series of these known as Moshi Bands. Moshi Monsters also had their own version of Magic Choc, moldable chocolate you could make into different Moshi Monsters characters and then eat. I yearn for this every day, it tasted so good. They also made gummies of 3 different kinds, the originals, fluffies, and sours. These reminded me a lot of randoms, they were so good. Some other Moshi themed foods include chocolate eggs with figures inside, M-shaped bacon flavoured crisps, and flavoured water. They even did a collab with Froobs. The Moshi Monsters HQ has beanbags that look like glumps. The Daily Growl was a Moshi Monsters newsletter available on the website about updates to the game as well as competitions, puzzles and loads more. Moshi Monsters collabed with Jamie Oliver, who made Moshi Monsters themed recipes, including butternut squash muffins which were criticised by viewers for having too much sugar. Tai, the company behind Beanie Babies and Beanie Boos, released Moshi Monsters plushies and plush keychains. Instead of a glove, Dr. Strangeglove once used a whisk as a hand because he just liked scrambled eggs that much. The character Sweet Tooth has no confirmed gender, and the last person to ask their gender ended up in Moshpital. Non-binary icon, we love to see it. One of the most unique Moshling figure spin-offs were the Halloween series, orange Moshlings with jack-o'-lantern-like faces. And let me tell you, I was terrified of these as a kid, but I think they're really cool now. Series 1 of the Moshling figure blind bags had the most Moshlings, with 48 total. The insanely popular cupcake making minigame was actually released first on moshigames.com before it was added in-game in Moshi Monsters. Moshi Music Star candy containers are gashapon-like blind box capsules containing a figure and rock-shaped sweets, which were like crack, they were so good. The Great Moshi Beanstalk sprouted on the Moshi Monsters map in 2013. Super Moshi missions and minigames can be played through to climb up the beanstalk. Squashy Moshis were collectible rubber toys with squeakers inside that you could squish. Similarly, Moshi Monsters had their own range of Mash'ems toys. I still remember the smell of these very vividly, like they smell of toxic chemicals. Michael Acton Smith, aka Mr. Moshi, has his own self-insert Moshi Monsters character called Mr. Moshi, who played a prominent role in the mobile game Moshi Monsters Village. The Mega Bloks brand released Moshi Monsters playsets and figurines, and there was even a Moshi Mega Bloks advent calendar. There was also a Super Moshi plane playset released, where you could pop Whirly into the front of the plane to become its propeller. In 2016, Moshi Monsters Egg Hunt books were released, which could be personalised with your name, and you'd also receive personalised cards of you as a Moshling. Which is what this is. I was always under the impression that they custom made the Moshling for me, but no, they didn't. Dr. Strangeglove is a big fan of Zach Binspin's music, and he can be seen dancing to it in the movie. Moshi Monsters had no in-game chat, but each player had a pinboard in their house that others could write on. The first Moshling ever designed was Chico the Penguin, who was drawn on a napkin as an initial concept for Moshi Monsters. However, he never actually made it into the game. Michael Acton's inspiration for Moshi Monsters included Tamagotchi, Furbies, and his childhood pet rock. Moshi Monsters was originally going to be called Puzzle Monsters. Another inspiration for Moshi Monsters was the addictive nature of social media like Facebook. However, his inspiration for the app Calm was the fact that he felt like the internet was too addictive, so pretty much a whole 360 was done there. I've mentioned this before in my Bin Weevils video, which you should go watch by the way, But the Advertising Standards Authority came after Moshi Monsters for their predatory wording when encouraging players to buy a membership, including phrases like "the Super Moshis need you." It was estimated that 1 in 2 kids in the UK and Australia between 6 and 12 had a Moshi Monsters account. The Moshling Iggy's name stands for "I'm gonna get ya." In the Avengers movie Age of Ultron, there's a scene where Thor steps on a Moshi Monsters Mega Bloks set. Moshi members could have up to 10,000 friends, but non-members were limited to 500. Super Moshi missions, which I've mentioned before, I probably should have put this at the start, were member-exclusive story quests, and you'd be awarded a Moshling at the end of each one. In Super Moshi missions, Super Moshi logos are hidden around, such as inside cupboards, and these are known as epics. You'd be rewarded for collecting each one, and this was definitely my favourite part of the missions. It was so fun trying to find them all. In the Voyage Under Potion Ocean mission, Dr. Strangeglove is mistakenly shown with 2 white gloves when one is supposed to be purple. A Moshi Monsters version of Hambees was released known as Moshi Beads, featuring Oddie, Scamp, Lovely and Jeepers. An animated series was planned for Moshi Monsters in 2013, however this never ended up releasing. Simon Grau's hair is a sentient being just known as a wiggy thing. There are multiple moshlings used officially that have never been named or released as an official moshling, most often appearing in the Moshi Monsters magazines, with the most well-known one being this cute little fox looking thing. In Moshi Monsters you had to plant a combination of 3 flowers to attract different moshlings. However, there were certain secret seeds you could obtain via codes to get exclusive moshlings. These codes were given out on plushies, from magazine subscriptions, from buying spin-off games, from attending certain events, etc, etc. In other words, it was near impossible to complete your entire moshling zoo. Seeds used to have a small chance of growing into a rocks flower, which gives you rocks when dug up. That's like the currency of Moshi Monsters, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned that. In 2013, rocks flowers were removed, and I can kind of see why, because you wouldn't get a moshling if one grew, which is just more of an inconvenience than anything. The Moshi Monsters map went through a lot of changes over the years, including the addition of Music Island and the Beanstalk. Issue 41 of the Moshi Monsters magazine came with a penny money box, however 50 random magazine buyers would receive a golden version. Blingo's goatee is drawn on with pen. Buster Bumblechops can play the xylophone. The character Bubba, the bouncer of the underground disco, has Mom tattooed on his arm, even though it's a British game. Dr. Strangelove's name is a play on the 1964 film Dr. Strangelove. Moshi Goo was a spin-off of Jelly Bath, a project that turns your bathwater into jelly, and these came with exclusive green moshlings. The Moshi Monsters magazine featured a recipe in each issue, usually of food sold in-game. And some of these look like straight arse, I won't lie. I'm kind of tempted to do a video making some of these recipes and trying them. And lastly, certain moshlings came exclusively with books. For example, a Silver Gabby came with the official collectible figures guide, and Hot Wings the Puffin came with the Moshipedia. So that was 100 facts about Moshi Monsters. Let me know what you think about the new reboot and whether you're excited or disappointed, because I see a lot of mixed opinions. And feel free to like and subscribe, of course. If you want to know how hot it is today, I've had my fan on full blast and the sheer force of it has fucking decapitated Hatsune Miku. If you have any ideas for other franchises I could make 100 fact videos about, let me know in the comments. I love hearing you guys' suggestions. I have a list of everything. It will all get done eventually, trust. But I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and bye-bye!